After Ron DeSantis dropped out yesterday, Nikki Haley finally has the one-on-one match with Trump she's craved. However, it may be too late. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today, it is time that we talk about the 2024 Republican presidential primary. Now, as most of you've probably heard by now, Ron DeSantis has suspended his campaign, which I was not prepared for. I thought that he was going to do that after South Carolina. That's when I thought, okay, he's going to drop out after South Carolina and be done with it. Well, he didn't even make it a week after the Iowa caucus, and he endorsed Trump and all that stuff, but now there was two. Technically three with Ryan Binkley, but either way, it's 1v1 between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley for the Republican nomination, and let's be blunt, Trump's got this. I mean, it's a 1v1 on paper, but is it really that competitive? I mean, seriously. Outside of it being a 1v1, what makes this a quote-unquote competitive race? Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Now, like I said, is this really a competitive race? I mean, really. Yeah, it's 1v1 now, but Nikki Haley is already down by like 20, 30 points. Can she come back from that? I highly doubt that. I mean, yeah, it's the one-on-one match she's wanted, but she's so delusional that she thinks, oh, 1v1 means I'm going to get 50% of the vote and I'm going to shock the world. No! It just means you're the last moron to keep running outside of, like I said, Ryan Binkley, who no one knows about. It's like, why are you still in it? But alright, let's get right into it because, hey, Nikki Haley has wanted this 1v1 this entire cycle, which I am still surprised it wasn't Trump v. DeSantis. If you would have told me last year that the last two major candidates were Trump and Haley, I would have thought you were bluffing, but no, this is real. But alright, let's get right into it. Since the Iowa caucuses, Nikki Haley had tried to frame the Republican presidential race as one-on-one combat between her and Donald Trump, which was delusional. I mean, you took third. Just think about that. The person that took third in Iowa was the one that's saying, this is a 1v1 between me and Trump. On Sunday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made it official for Haley, who appeared noticeably energized as she delivered the news of his exit at a campaign stop, even though the question of just how much it will help her looms over the shrinking primary campaign. Boy, are things changing fast. Haley, the former UN ambassador, said at Brown's Lobster Pound, which, again, this is just delusional. You really think Ron DeSantis dropping out is going to magically help you when he endorsed Trump? When Tim Scott just endorsed him, when Doug Burgum did, Vivek? Yeah, it's changing quickly, not in your direction. I mean, the past couple of days, Trump has been surging in New Hampshire. He went from like a 10-point lead to around 20. And the polls without DeSantis, it's like 25 to 30. We just heard that Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the race. She continued as huge applause erupted from restaurant goers and volunteers. I want to say to Ron he ran a great race. Yeah, sure. He's been a good governor and I wish him well. Having said that, it's now one fella and one lady left. Again, you forgot Binkley, but either way, not really. After New Hampshire, where do you go? You're going to get crushed in Nevada because you're not even on the ballot. You're going to get walloped in your own state. Trump's going to every single delegate. And it's like, where do you go from here? She added later, may the best woman win. Oh, good Lord. Which, this is just Hillary Clinton as a Republican. This is all this lady has become. Really? May the best woman win? Remember when the Republican Party was against identity politics just a couple years ago? Now they've embraced it. Really? Inside the Haley campaign, there's a sense of energy over the news of DeSantis dropping out, though officials there don't think it will make much of a difference when it comes to the numbers, pointing to public surveys showing DeSantis in the single digits in both South Carolina and New Hampshire. In that sense, they believe that's why it was a two-person race before DeSantis dropped out. But do you not understand? His supporters are gonna break for Trump, and undecideds were in fact breaking for Trump beforehand. I mean, these people do not live in the real world. And it's not just my opinion. Just look at the polling data. Ever since he dropped out, which there was one, I'll give you that, Trump has been winning virtually every single undecided or DeSantis supporter. He's gotten the endorsement of Tim Scott, Doug Burgum, who, before they dropped out, were doing kind of good in the state. This is a boost, said a person familiar with the campaign's thinking, arguing that it proves Haley is an outsider. What? An outsider. When she was in bed, not just, figuratively, literally in bed, with lobbyists for years, you're an outsider? I mean, how does it make any sense when DeSantis endorsed Trump? Again, Haley's campaign is awful. The fact that no one's talking about this enough, which I blame myself a little bit because this campaign's awful. Across the board, this campaign stinks. Not as bad as DeSantis, but man, this is your philosophy? Regardless of DeSantis' endorsement of Trump, the Haley campaign believes his voters will be divided up between her and the former president. The remaining voters, and if this was 5 months ago, sure. But now, the only support DeSantis had are the more conservative part of the Republican Party. The Never-Trumpers have already bailed on his campaign for Haley. I don't get this. This philosophy that DeSantis' endorsement doesn't help Trump? Rick Wiley, a Haley advisor, tweeted, "The utter humiliation. Other advisors never entertained the possibility that DeSantis would endorse Haley. Unlike the stain of the endorsement of Trump by Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, this moment carried far less weight and sense of betrayal, which it should. It should be, hey, this guy, he might have only been at 5%. He endorsed Trump when he's up by, just say 10 to 15. It's more like 20 now. But the fact that they're not taking this seriously when Trump's already up by 10 or whatever, and this is an extra 4 to 5%, that's why this campaign, they're out of touch. They're just as bad as DeSantis, just not as incompetent. Somehow. New Hampshire has so far been the early state that is more favorable to Haley's candidacy, but Trump still holds double-digit leads in most recent surveys of the GOP primary, while she leads among independent voters who are allowed to participate in the state's open primary. The polls show Trump with a wider lead among registered Republicans, giving him the overall advantage. And now with DeSantis, this is even going to be wider. DeSantis, meanwhile, has hardly registered in the most recent New Hampshire polls, consistently showing up in the mid-single digits. The sample size were small, but DeSantis supporters were more likely to pick Trump than Haley as their second choice of both the most recent University of New Hampshire poll and Suffolk University's tracking poll. Which proves my point. These voters are going to break for Trump. Might be by 90-10 margins. Some of them still vote DeSantis probably. But to think that this isn't a big deal, Still, Haley supporters see DeSantis leaving the race as a sign of her strengthening candidacy. She's at, what, 10% in South Carolina? 0 in Nevada? Getting walloped in California and Texas? That's a strong candidacy? Again, like I've said many times before, and I'll continue to say this campaign is absolutely incompetent. Just think about it. They are not worried that the guy that was at 5 to 6%, when mind you, Trump was already up by 10 to 15 at least, endorsed him. That's not a big deal, but somehow Tim Scott endorsing Trump is a bigger deal than that? Listen, your campaign sucks. The only reason that you're even at 30% or 35% is because of Never Trump Republicans and Democrats Chris Christie brought over. That's what happened. If it wasn't for that, she wouldn't even be she would be at 1%. Let's be real. If it was only Republicans, real ones, she would be getting absolutely crushed. She would have dropped out before anyone. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.